Raise those hands with me now and say to me, now unto him that is able to keep me from falling and present me faultless before his throne with exceeding great joy. To the only wise God, my Savior, be glory, dominion, majesty, and power, both now and forevermore. Would you be so kind and just shake?
I think that my dad was ahead of his time. When I walk through the church, I find that he thought of things that we need today. How did he know that we would have needed this? You know, back in 1980 when the ministry was just beginning.
You walk through these hallways, you feel him, you know, you sense his level of excellency, his leadership, his kindness, his love, you know. It's in every detail of this place, and I thank God for that.
My father, to me, was my hero. He was my hero. I never knew he was my hero the whole time, but when I got older, I realized that everything that I wanted in a hero, he was. He kind of spoke into my life in many, many ways. And you know, as a kid, you don't know it until you get older. You're like, wow.
Education meant so much to him. He would always say to us, be an intellectual, be an intellectual. He loved education. He was a lifelong learner and believed in that.
He was all the things that I aspired to be like. But at the same time, even with him being my hero, he was still just dad too.
My dad was very funny, very humorous. And I don't know if that was always translated in the pulpit, you know. People would ask my dad, I would hear him say, you know, how are you, Pastor? He was like, I'm behaving myself like a gentleman. So those kind of things he would, you know, insert his humor, but he was a very funny man.
Growing up as a child at the church, you know, people would often say to me, what does it feel like to be the pastor's daughter? I would say, I don't know what it's not like to be a pastor's daughter, so I never knew how to respond to that. But I know that many of the young people, or even children, thought he was very stern. You know, and he just had that demeanor, like maybe he's mean and he's stern, but that's not who he was at home. Funny, you know, telling jokes, full of life. So that sternness that we would see sometimes at church, not at home. But he could get stern though. Don't let me get wrong with that. He definitely had a heavy hand when he was ready.
So one of the things is that, you know, okay, for example, he would come home from church or from work, you know, before we even had the church. He would come home and he's always done the same thing. He would sit down, he would talk with my mom, he would talk with us, and he would do gardening. And the crazy part is that he would do the gardening in his shirt and tie and suit, like, you know, his dress shoes. He would do all the gardening, he would mow the lawn, he would do all the housework in the shirt and tie and sometimes in the blazer, but definitely he's not taking that tie off. And and he would come in and sit down but another thing that he loved to do, we would sit down and we would watch some of the sitcoms together. You know, he'd laugh, and you know, we'd have a good time. We'd eat together. But he always he was a big person on the family altar. And so we had to pray together because his thing was the family that prays together stays together. And so that was him, the family man. He was a lot of fun, lots of laughs. But yeah, that shirt and tie wasn't going anywhere.
I run track, or I used to run track many moons ago. But when I was running track, my dad never missed a track meet. He was always there, cheering the loudest. And I recall specifically, he was talking in church about it. I think he was using it in one of his messages. And he was speaking about the position of my hands and how my hands were always like in a gun shape, right, when I was running. Something that I didn't even recognize about myself until he mentioned it. And how I'd be like taking down those that were trying to beat me. And I always won. But just that he was there, you know, that's the kind of father I had. It was the kind of pastor that we had, a present one. He was a present father, a present pastor, a present person.
What stuck out to me the most is that he led by example. He wasn't afraid, as I mentioned, to take a piece of paper off the floor if something was out of place to fix it. Yes, he would have people hired to take things off the floor, but if he saw it, he wasn't too proud to bend down and do it himself. And I think that's a remarkable leader, leading by example and leading with servanthood. It's not that I'm on top of you and I tell you what to do, but I'm in service to you. And I think that's powerful.
Yeah, charismatic. He was a charismatic leader, charismatic pastor. Again, he was extremely passionate about the things of God. And it wasn't in a moment, it was consistent. And so I think when people watch you and they see that level of consistency, it's attractive, right? It's you draw people to you, and it's really the Spirit of God in him that was drawing people. And so he was like that everywhere. I mean, he was a superstar in my books. You know, when he would go to the Bahamas or to Jamaica or to the States, Florida specifically, you know, I mean, even Africa, he was able to draw an audience of people who just wanted to feel the tangible love of God. And that was definitely felt in everything that he did.
He was firm. He was firm. Yet he allowed people to grow, and he allowed room for people to make mistakes and to be redeemed from those mistakes, and to you know, have a path back. You know, he really liked, and I should say liked, he loved young people, and his love for the youth of Toronto, I think pushed him to give that opportunity, or to always try to make opportunities for people so they could, you know, have a stage, have a place to showcase, you know, their talents, their gifts and abilities, but yet make mistakes and still be able to come back and fix them, you know. And so I like that about it. Firm, yet forgiving. Yeah, that's it. F and F, firm yet forgiving.
My dad was always very clear that he could not have been where he was in ministry had it not been for his Rose, had it not been for his wife.
She meant the world to him. You know, he had a poem that he wrote for her when they were courting. I call her Rose, and that's just right. She's a beauty in God's garden. And it's something that even the church knows. He would repeat it so often. And that was just a testament of how important she was to him.
Had it not been for mommy being able to take care of the family and nurturing the body of Christ in a very motherly way, that he was unable to be the kind of leader that he was. You know, they would dance sometimes in the middle of the kitchen, you know. My mom served him like a king, you know, put his dinner in front of him, and he would make sure that she's taken care of.
He didn't do anything really without her approval. And if he did, he would have to come back and say he was wrong, because he would always say that my mom always knew. She always knew, and she always guided him the right way. Yeah.
You know, women, we like to shop, and my dad would pull up at the mall. He would stay in his car patiently waiting for her. She took her hours, and she took hours. But he had a level of patience with her, kindness, you know. Yeah, she was definitely his Rose. She's just right, a beauty in God's garden.
On Thursdays, he loved to take me to Canada Christian College. I could drive myself, but he wanted to take me. I said, son, I'm taking you. Here we go. Right? And we would drive up there, and he would just talk. And I would just sit there and just listen. I'd just soak it all in. He'd tell me about his life. He'd tell me about his childhood. He'd tell me about, you know, the struggles that he had. He'd tell me about, you know, the things that I should look toward. He prepared me for pitfalls ahead. You know, he taught me to expect things to not always go right, but this is how you plan for those things. And those were great times. Just being him in the car, driving to the school, and then and he would pick me up too. He would go and do some things, and then drive back, pick me up, and we talk all the way back. And he told me, you know, a lot about what he wanted to see Revival Time become, and but he also prepared me to be the pastor and to be able to understand what pastoring is. And one of the things that he really drove home was, you know, to be very, very kind and to have a heart for the people.
These are one of the last things he said to me. There was a charge he gave to us as children, but it was just a one-on-one with me and him. And he took my hand and he said, "Thank you for all your hard work, Jen." That's my dad would call me Jen. "Thank you for all your hard work, Jen." And that's something that motivates me. I've always been one that likes to work hard, and I think I take that from him. And just to know that he appreciated what I did in that final moments, I take that with me and hold it dear.
You know, the Bible speaks about write the vision and make it plain, that those that read it will run, right? My dad was a visionary, and he was very skilled in making sure that he wrote down those visions, and so that was never lost. And so I think that's important. That's something that I've taken, that, you know, you write the vision, you make it plain so that people can hear it, feel it, read it, recall it. And that drives a passion in them towards the things of God. And so that's something I've taken. I've taken the level of determination. He was a determined man. If he wanted something done, it was done. You know, I think about the Put the Guns Away campaign. I think about, you know, being the first one to do like a youth month and giving a whole entire month over to the youth. He was determined to ensure that the next generation were instilled with the things of God, or planted with the things of God. Being able to serve as a pastor and to carry on his legacy, to embark on what's next, you know, I think it is a privilege. That's how I really see it. It's a privilege to be able to walk through these hallways, a privilege to be able to pastor, a privilege to connect with the flock that he has helped rear in such a magnificent way. You know, and so many people I bump into say that Bishop Dr. Audley Neville James was bigger than Revival Time. He was the people's pastor, the city's pastor, and it's very humbling, definitely a privilege.
It's crazy, but sometimes, you know, if I'm preaching, if I'm talking to somebody, if I'm counseling, I'll hear him. I still hear him, you know.
Yeah, this website is so important to me. I'm so grateful that that this time it's happening at this time, because I just want people to remember who Bishop Dr. Audley James was. Remember what he stood for, and he really laid a foundation that we can build upon. And I just hope people will go back and see what he did, the foundation he laid, through the messages that they'll hear through the site, how relevant they are today. I went back and listened to God Remembers, and man, I can apply that to my life right now. And he preached that years ago. So I think everyone can take away something, and on a whole, I just want them to remember.
I think as people, we have a tendency to forget where we've come from, the things that were done. You know, Bishop Dr. Audley Neville James is a historian. He is the first to do so many things in this city and in this nation. The other day I was preaching in Nova Scotia, and I was able to, you know, put my feet and walk on one of the first Black churches that were ever established here in Canada. And his is the second, you know, and to know that somebody, you know, coming from Jamaica, he says the back hills of Trelawney, could come here with that level of determination to do that, to build, to ensure that our people could see that happening, you know, to be proud to be a Black man, to be a Jamaican man, but here in Canada to also be a proud Canadian. You know, I want people to see that. I want people to revisit that, because if he can, so can we. If he did, we certainly can do it, because all things through Christ are possible.
For me, what I see him leaving behind as far as his legacy is concerned is passion. Passion to win souls for Jesus Christ. The passion to make a difference in our community. The passion for the young people of our city. The passion to take that spirit of revival time and bring it to the world. And let the world know that Jesus Christ is still the answer for the world today. Above him, there's no other. Jesus is the way. Yeah.
Raise those hands with me now and say to me, now unto him that is able to keep me from falling and present me faultless before his throne with exceeding great joy. To the only wise God, my Savior, be glory, dominion, majesty, and power, both now and forevermore. Would you be so kind?
To announce the launch of the official website honoring Bishop Dr. Audley and James, a beloved pastor and a guiding light in our community. Though he passed 5 years ago, his legacy continues to inspire countless lives, and we are excited to create a space that celebrates his remarkable contributions. At audleyandjames.org, you'll find a treasure trove of his powerful messages and sermons, each one filled with wisdom and insight that has touched the hearts of so many. We've also included a rich history of his ministry, showcasing the incredible journey of a man dedicated to serving God and uplifting others. But this website isn't just a collection of memories, it's a living tribute. We invite you to share your own stories and tributes to Bishop James, allowing his legacy to live on through your words. Your submissions will be posted on the site, creating a heartfelt community of remembrance and inspiration. To stay connected, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter. We will be adding new messages every month, ensuring that the teachings of Bishop James continue to inspire us all. You won't want to miss out on these valuable insights. Visit us today at audleyandjames.org to explore, remember, and celebrate the life of Bishop Dr. Audley and James. Together, let's honor his enduring spirit and the profound impact he had on our lives. Thank you.